am with Anna again, talking about, well, how she learned English. You talked about films before and TV.
Yeah.
Can you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, when I was a kid, I used to hate English because I have dyslexia and I struggled a lot in school with learning, and especially English. And then I started picking up American TV shows and English, like BBC, Sherlock, Doctor Who, and then you had Supernatural, all these things. And then I started watching them and enjoying them more and more and more. And that's how I got my accent and my English today. And I talk English at home with my partner.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. You said that you have dyslexia, and you struggled especially with English. So what were things that helped you sort of overcome that?
Well, it helped when we actually learned that I had dyslexia, because it was a really long time before we learned that. But when we found out, we would just struggle through it together, me and my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And then watch more shows, watch more films, just anything I could find, I would just grab and try watching English.
So it was sort of the technology, those multimodal texts, the video and things that helped you as opposed to just reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because for a long period of time, I wouldn't read. And still today, like I mentioned earlier, I don't read Norwegian. I only read English. Mm-hmm. But now I plowed through so many English books that I can't even remember how many.
Mm-hmm. So what was it, the motivation? You said you don't read Norwegian, but you'll read English. What is the motivation that causes you to want to plow through English books? What's the driving force behind that?
I'm not quite sure. I just feel more comfortable with the English language more than I feel with the Norwegian, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite sure about how that works for a Norwegian.
Was there an aha moment for you when you're like, I can do this? I can do this? Because you said you struggled a long time.
Yeah. There was a moment, me and my parents went to Thailand for a vacation, a pretty long one. And then I had brought this book with me that I had tried to read before, and I was halfway through it or something, and it had taken me a long time. And it was like around 400 pages or something. And then I finished that book shortly after. And that feeling of finally getting through this book made me want to read more. So then I read more of the books and then more of different books. And that's just went on, piled on. Mm-hmm. There's been a period now where I haven't read as much, but I love English books.
If you think back to your younger self and the English books that you loved to read and that really motivated you, do any titles pop into your head? That's sort of an off-the-cuff question.
Yeah.
But if something pops up, you can just...
Well, the big book that I talked about was the Vampire Diaries.
Yes. I've read all the Twilight series. You do not need to apologize for that at all.
But that was funny because I had the 7th book.
Yeah.
And then I read through that and I was like, oh, this is so good. So then I started with the 7th, then went back to 5 and 6. So it was a weird mashup in the story.
How old were you when you read that?
I was 14, turning 15.
Okay. So finding a book that was motivating for you caused you to want to read more.
Yeah.
So maybe the trick is to start reading the last book in the series so that you want to read the front. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Are there... do you have any tips for anyone out there who might be struggling with reading, for either teachers or students like yourself?
Well, if you don't know why you're struggling reading, find out why. Then try to find a way that you can enjoy it, whether it's watching with subtitles and learning from there, or reading a book, or listening to music, or playing games. It's all find what makes you enjoy it.
So we're all different and we all learn in different ways.
Exactly.
And that's something to celebrate
and
to remember.
Yes.
Super. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yep.